exec, el vele, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 168 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I am your host, Velez Wasan. Yes, I know. Hey, I'm late. I understand. I'm late by a lot. Okay, by a lot. I understand that today is going to be recap day and prediction day for both NFL and NCAA. Okay, I understand completely, but this week has been life and work smashed together and just couldn't get around to it. But I'm getting around to it today before the games tomorrow. So you're going to have your predictions today, being Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on all my socials, and comment, please. All right. Things on the docket. Just came down today. Roki Sasaki, the 23-year-old phenom from Japan, is signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You might ask me, Velez, why are you laughing at that? Because it's absolutely disgusting. That's disgusting. They just won the World Series. And Shohei's going to pitch. And Yoshi's going to be better. And Glasnow's coming back. And Gonsolin. And now you had a Blake Snell and a Roki Sasaki? What are we talking about? They have the best six-man rotation in the last, 10, 20 years. Everybody is absolutely nasty. They got one Cy Young winner. That's Blake Snell. But Glasnow is basically a perennial. If he doesn't get hurt, he was a perennial contestant. Shohei, obviously. Yoshi could be. Roki could be. And Gonsolin, I think he could be that too. Now, what do I think? If you are the Dodgers, who starts game one of the season? Game one of the season? That is easy. Shohei Ohtani. That's who starts the game one. You wanna sell out every single ticket? You want to make it a historical moment? The first game that Shohei pitches as a Dodger is the first game of the 2025 season, coming off a World Series championship and a 50-50 season as a DH, first DH to ever win MVP. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Who's game two? Now that's a toss-up. Are you throwing Roki game two? Are you throwing Yoshi game two? Are you throwing Glasnow game two? Are you throwing Blake Snell game two? You when a team faces them, what is the scouting report? This is what the scouting report is. Yeah, guys, we're going to take a shit. That's what we're doing, guys. Coach, but we're supposed to be competing, coach. Come on, coach. Guys, you're either facing Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, Blake Snell, or Tyler Glasnow. So hope for Tony Gonsolin. Hope and pray that you got to face Tony Gonsolin. That is not even mentioning Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone. I forgot the other kid. Oh, Trevor May. Like, that's, just hope and pray that out of the six that you can face right now that are all healthy, that it's Tony Gonsolin. If you face Tyler Glasnow, vaya con Dios. If you take Roki Sasaki, vaya con Dios. If you face Shohei, put the bat down. Just don't show up for the game. Yoshi, vaya con Dios. Blake Snell, just put the bat down. It's not useful. So, as I said at the beginning, when this whole ordeal happened, I told you he was going to go to the Dodgers. He wants to be with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He wants to be with Shohei. Okay? He wants to be part of history. That is just on the pitching side. Okay? You still have 3 MVPs and a 2-time World Series MVP on the hitting side. Very, very, very difficult how in the world NL is even going to stand a chance this year to get the number 1 seed. A chance. So, for the Mets, good job spending $765 million. That this is going to amount to absolutely nothing. The Padres, good try, but unfortunately, it's not your time. Everybody else, screwed. Everybody else. Unfortunate, but it would be the Dodgers to pull that one off. So that's one big part of news. Another big part of news. 2 quarterbacks that played great this season. One without a supporting cast, technically, not a supporting cast. Hurt J.K. Dobbins for most of the year, a little bit here and there. Only Ladd McConkey as his number one scoring defense. And then a guy who has maybe the best supporting cast in the NFL as it comes to receivers, Sam Darnold, played the 2 worst games of their season in the wild card round. Lamar and the Ravens and Derrick Henry look the part. This team looks different than before. They're not trying to razzle-dazzle you. He's just going to kill you from the pocket. No. If he has a lane, he's going to take off. But also, if you even think of playing 6 in the box, it's going to 22. And 22 in the second half is going to take over. And that's going to be their key to victory, is using 22, using Derrick Henry to the best of their ability in key situations while still leveraging Lamar's legs and arm. Zay Flowers is doubtful for Sunday. He might play. John Harbaugh has not ruled it out, but he's doubtful. Okay, versus the Bills. All right. So, Chargers, Texans. What happened? Texans defense. That's what happened. Derek Stingley, 2 picks. Kamari Lassiter, a pick. And then a pick 6 by Murray. If I say that the way Justin Herbert played was awful, would be a disservice if I don't speak about what Ladd McConkey did in this game. Ladd McConkey almost went for 200 yards receiving, broke the rookie record in receiving in a playoff game with 197 yards. And it still wasn't enough to overcome 4 picks by Justin Herbert. Now, what we worry about with Houston Texans, and I picked the Chargers, by the way, and I should have gone with my gut and picked the Texans, but I just thought Herbert would be just a little bit better and that defense would get through that offensive line. But when you have guys like Derek Stingley outside, and the guy that he has to cover is, no disrespect, but Ladd McConkey, you're going to have a little bit of a problem. Now, Ladd went off, like I said. Ladd went absolutely off, 197, I think on 11 catches, if I'm not mistaken. But Herbert went 14 for 32, 242, 1 touchdown, 4 picks, 4 sacks for 31 yards. a QBR of 13, and a rating of 40.9. One of the worst games of his career, if not the worst. Okay, JK went 9 for 26 on the ground, so there was no running game. They went 18 for 50 on the ground as a team. No running game against a pretty good Texans defense. And Ladd McConkey on 14 targets went 9 receptions for 197 and a touchdown. Nobody else got more than 16 yards receiving. Will Dissly caught 2 for 16. Quentin Johnston went 0 for 0 for 0 for 0 on 5 targets. Darius Davis fumbled and recovered. The defense got 3 sacks, 1 by Joey Bosa, 2 by Khalil Mack. Dean Leonard got a pick on CJ. But that's about it. Because the Texans, CJ went 22 for 33, 282, a touchdown and a pick. 3 sacks for 21 yards, 64.9 QBR, and 90.7 rating. Mixon is the key to the Texans' offense. It's not Nico Collins. It's Joe Mixon. If they can run the ball efficiently and with gusto, 25 for 106 and a touchdown, 34 carries as a team for 168, 4.9 yards a carry, and a touchdown. CJ ran it for 6 times for 42 yards, and they needed it because most of it was on 3rd down. Nico Collins was 7 receptions for 122 and a touchdown, and he had over 100 in the first half. And then the next closest was Xavier Hutchinson, and he caught 1 ball for 34 yards. Mixon lost the fumble. Mechie lost the fumble. Their defense got 4 sacks, 1.5 by Mario Edwards Jr., 1.5 by Will Anderson Jr., and 1 by Danico Autry. Then Derrick Stingley Jr. got 2 picks. Eric Murray ran 1 back, 38 yards. And then Kamari Lassiter had a disgusting pick. Disgusting. Going for Quinn Johnston. And he just kind of took it away from him. Stood in front of him, in phase, just went, yurt. Took that shit away. 32-12, Texans on defense. That's what they're going to hang their hat on against KC next week, tomorrow. They're going to hang their head on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to try to get Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, Blake Cashman, Azeez Al-Shaair, Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter. They're going to try to get them to play free. If they play free against Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Pacheco, then maybe they have a shot, but we're talking about Mahomes here. So that's Texans, Chargers. Steelers, Ravens was a massacre. 28-14, and it didn't even feel that close. I told you this team was one and done. I told you this team was garbage, mistache, pustache. I told you that this was all fake, that relying on the deep ball to George Pickens was fake, that this defense would eventually get exposed. Why? Because they're out there too long. They're out there too long. And when you're out there too long and Derrick Henry has the ball, problems arise. So if we go to box score, okay, Russell Wilson goes 20 for 29, 270, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 4 sacks for 19 yards, a 46.5 QBR, a 121.3 rating. You're like, oh, that must be good. No. I told you this team couldn't run the ball to save their life. And I mean to save their life. This team ran the ball 11 times for 29 yards, averaging 2.6 yards a carry. That's awful, abysmal, atrocious, embarrassing for a Steelers team. If you know your Steelers history. Najee ran 6 times for 17 yards. George Pickens went 5 for 5. So 5 targets, 5 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Next leading receiver was Najee Harris with 3 for 41. Okay. They shut down Prop Fryerman with 3 for 15. Shut him down. Their defense got 1 sack. Alex Highsmith. No interceptions. No life. Why do I say no life? Because the game was 21-0 at halftime. Then they tried to mount a comeback and scored 14 in the third and made it 21. Where's the fourth quarter? Hold up. Play-by-play. That's what we're looking for here. And, okay. So they made it 21-7 when they got to George Pickens. Oh, no, to Van Jefferson. And then immediately in 4 plays, Derrick Henry, 44 yards. Out the gate, 7-28. This game was over. They scored again, to George Pickens on a 36-yard pass, but after that, defense kind of held on both sides. Pittsburgh turned it over on downs with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, and then Ravens ran out the clock. As for the Ravens, 16 for 21, 175, nothing crazy. 2 touchdowns, no picks. 1 sack for 10 yards, an 84.3 QBR, a 132 rating for Lamar. Derrick Henry went 26 for 186 and 2 touchdowns, along with 44. Lamar went 15 for 81 on the ground. They ran the ball 50 times. 50-21 run-to-pass ratio is insane in a playoff game. 50 times, though, for 299 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns as a team. Receivers didn't really need them. Isaiah Likely, 3 for 53. Mark Andrews, 2 for 27. Nelson Aguilar, 1 for 25. Rashad Bateman, 2 for 24 and a touchdown. Justice Hill, 4 for 13 and a touchdown. Steve Sims recovered a fumble that he fumbled. They got 4 sacks, 1 by Odafe Owe, 2 by Nnamdi Amadibike, and 1 by Michael Pierce. No interceptions needed. No kick returns either. They were all touchbacks. And it was just an ass kicking. This is what Baltimore is supposed to do. You're supposed to open a can of whoop ass on an inferior team. And that's exactly what they did at home. Okay? Steelers. I don't know if you get rid of Mike Tomlin. I don't know if you get rid of the whole team. Listen. If I were you guys, I would personally either move on from Mike because the message is not landing no more, especially in the second half of the season over the last few years, or go all in with Justin Fields next year, try to develop him, let Russell go because you're not going to take that price tag, and try to draft something at the running back position. Or finally start Jaylen Warren. Najee Harris, get him out of here. He's a free agent. Get him out. That's it. If you want to go bold, like Colin Cowherd said, trade George Pickens, TJ Watt, and 2 first-round picks and try to go get Shador. I don't think that's a smart idea because if you get rid of TJ Watt, there goes 75% of your wins out the window. Proven by the numbers. So we'll see what happens in Steeler Town in this offseason. Broncos, Bills. Bills destroy the Broncos, even though the Broncos scored first. Okay? Broncos scored first. Deep ball to Troy Franklin. But Josh Allen was too much. Bo Nix went 13 for 22, 144, and that touchdown. 2 sacks for 14 yards. 68.3 QBR, a 93.7 rating. Bo Nix also ran for 43 yards, was the leading rusher for the team. 4 carries, 43 yards. Javonte went 7 for 29. They ran the ball 17 times for 79 yards as a team. Cortland Sutton caught 5 balls for 75 yards on 9 targets. Troy Franklin went 2 for 54 along 43, which was the touchdown on 3 targets. Their defense got 2 sacks. Zach Allen, DJ Jones. No interceptions. And honestly, just their offense just couldn't move. It was a lot of 3-and-out. It was a lot of punting after that first drive that was scripted. That Buffalo defense really and they shot themselves in the foot. A lot of penalties, false starts, and legal motions and holdings. Just bad mental football. Josh Allen went 20 for 26, 272, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks for 11 yards, 87.8 QBR, 135.4 rating. James Cook went 23 for 120 and a touchdown, 5.2 yards a carry. They ran the ball 44 times for 210 yards as a team, 4.8 yards a carry. Josh Allen ran it 8 times for 46 yards. Curtis Samuel, surprise, surprise, 3 for 68 was their leading receiver with a touchdown on 3 targets. Khalil Shakir, 6 for 61 on 6 targets. Dalton Kincaid, 3 for 47. Nice to have him make an appearance on 3 targets. Dawson Knox, 2 for 38. On 3 targets. Ty Johnson, 2 for 26 and a touchdown on 2 targets. Amari Cooper caught 2 balls for 8 yards. Keon Coleman caught 1 for 5. Their defense gave him 2 sacks, 1 by Greg Rousseau and Matt Milano on a blitz. No interceptions, none needed. Buffalo just stomped them to the floor, did what needed to be done. The last 3 teams we have seen lose, Chargers, Steelers, Broncos, the silver lining for the Chargers and Broncos are this is the worst version that we're going to see over the next 3, 4, 5 years of these teams. Why do I say that? Justin Herbert just got Jim Harbaugh. They're going to draft well. Joe Alt's going to be in year 2. You're still going to have Rashawn Slater. You're probably going to draft another running back, but what you really need is an outside receiver, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make a really big bid for T. Higgins this offseason, if not like a guy like Jerry Jeudy this offseason. I could definitely see them go big fish hunting in the draft for a receiver. They need a guy like Emeka Egbuka, maybe a Luther Burden. You're not going to get a Travis Hunter. You're not going to get the guy for the Turatoa, the guy from Arizona. You're not going to get that. You're not high enough to do that. But there's serviceable receivers to go get. So, and then as for the Chargers, they also need a number 1. Broncos need more of a running back. Unless they want to make Audrey Estime their number 1. They do need another receiver, like an Emeka Egbuka. They could get Emeka Egbuka. But then again, maybe for the Chargers, maybe I would look at a guy like Jimmy Horn. LeJounte Wester, maybe for the Broncos. I would look at a guy like that. So there's stuff that they can do, but they're going to be better. Chargers are going to be better. They still have that defense. And the Broncos are going to be better. They still have that defense. Okay, so they're definitely going to be better. Eagles, Packers, Eagles 22, Packers 10. Jordan Love had a horrible game. This is the other quarterback that had a horrible game. Along with Sam Darnold and Justin Herbert. This was kind of a Saquon Barkley game. Jordan Love went 20 for 33, 212, 3 picks, no touchdowns, 2 sacks for 17 yards, 37.1 QBR, a 41.5 rating. Josh Jacobs, 18 for 81 and a touchdown. That was their only life on offense was Josh Jacobs. They ran the ball 25 times for 107 yards as a team. Jayden Reed caught 4 for 46 on 4 targets. Josh Jacobs caught 3 for 40 on 3 targets. Dontavian Wicks, 2 for 39 on 6 targets. Other than that, not much on the passing game. Keyshawn Nixon fumbled the kickoff. That set up the Eagles for an easy touchdown. Jacobs fumbled, but he didn't lose it. Sean Ryan fumbled, but he didn't lose it. Jordan Love recovered a fumble, and Tucker Kraft recovered a fumble. Their defense gave them 2 sacks, one by Rashawn Gary, half by Colby Wooden, and another half by Isaiah McDuffie on a blitz. No interceptions. No offense whatsoever but Josh Jacobs. As for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts was kind of rusty coming off of the concussion. 13 for 21, 131, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, 10 yards, 62.3 QBR, a 111.4 rating. Saquon ran the ball 25 times for 119. Had a chance to really pump it open for a 60-plus yard touchdown, but he throttled it down and slid at the end of the game, and everybody was like, why did you do that? Including myself, because I had him on a hard rock, and if he would have done that and got the touchdown, I would have hit on my parlay. But he didn't. He decided to slide, and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown went up to him and said, why didn't you go score? And he said, it's a dub. And they were like, okay, you're right. But I would have liked for him to, keep going on that one. 34 for 169 on the ground as a team, averaging 5 yards a carry. This is a running team. Devontae Smith caught 4 balls for 55 yards on 4 targets. Dallas Carter got 4 for 47 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Jahan Dotson caught 1 for 11. That one was a touchdown on 2 targets. And A.J. Brown was completely non-existent with no Jair Alexander on the field. 1 for 10 on 3 targets. They didn't need it. They had Saquon. Jeremiah Trotter recovered a fumble. Their defense gave him 2 sacks, 2 by Nolan Smith Jr. Zach Bond got a pick. Darius Slay got a beautiful pick in stride. Quinyon Mitchell caught his first pick of the season. Just total domination, doing what they're supposed to do as the 2 seed, and sending the Packers home packing, no pun intended, and really raising questions about Jordan Love in big games. Is he a guy, or is he just a guy? That's the question that Packers have to deal with, considering this was his 5th year. Well, no, his 4th year, but second year starting. No, he sat for 4 years, started last year, started this year full time. This is his 6th year, 2nd year starting, and just can't do it against the really good teams. So we'll see what happens in the offseason. I think Matt LaFleur's safe. Don't got to worry about that. Commanders Bucks, by far the best game of the weekend. Jayden Daniels just showing why he's the offensive rookie of the year, why he should be in the MVP conversation. When I tell you that, first playoff win since 2005, 20 years ago. Washington 23, Tampa Bay 20. This game started off 3-0 Bucks. Commanders scored 10 in the second quarter to make it 10-3. Then it's 10-10 at half. Then Commanders score 3 in the third quarter, and Buccaneers score 7. So now it's 17-13 entering the fourth, and then Commanders score 10 in the fourth, and Buccaneers score 3 to make it 20-3. Okay. We had 2 fourth down massive conversions by the Washington Commanders. One was to, of course, Terry McLaurin to put them up 20-17. And then happened the biggest play of the game, which was the fumble on a late snap by a rookie at a Duke Graham Barton. Late snap to Baker. Baker was doing a jet sweep to Jalen McMillan. It hits Jalen McMillan as he's passing by because the timing's off. Fumble happens. Dante Fowler jumps on it, or Bobby Wagner jumps on it. And then on fourth down, Jayden McDaniels throws an absolute dot to Terry McLaurin on his backside after reading the trip side of the field, turns, sees that Terry is coming open on the second window, and hits him. Puts it up there, and Terry comes down with it from 5 yards out. Chase McLaughlin kicks a field goal. 4 minutes and 41 seconds left to make it 20-20. And then comes a 4 minute and 41 second gorgeous drive by Jayden Daniels to win it on a doink field goal by Zane Gonzalez from 37 yards out. If we go to the box score, by the way, this game turned in the second quarter, deep in their own end. It was a third down, a long third down. It was like a third and, I'll tell you guys right now, actually. Was it a 3rd and 9? Let me see right quick. 17-play drive was a 3rd and, 3rd and 6. Deep in their own end zone at their 12. Jayden gets the ball, rolls right, can't find nobody, and then he sees Zach Ertz coming late, dots it to him. That leads a 17-yard drive to get their first score on the board, which goes to Dyami Brown. Okay. Yeah. Right here, Robinson, the touchdown. Where is it? Yeah, Dyami Brown, 10 yards on a 3rd and goal from the Tampa Bay 10. And then it goes back and forth. But Jayden Daniels, the poise to get the ball with 4:41 left in the game, tie game, 20-20. And a 10-play, 51-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 41 seconds off the clock, including a 3rd and 6 to Dyami Brown for 21 yards. And the ender that put him in field goal range was another 3rd and 6. No, it was a 3rd and 2. Could have sworn it was a 3rd and 6 that he ran on, but no, it was a 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. He rolls right, gets the first down, and then they set up the field goal. Okay? And it was a doink. So it was still suspenseful even from 37 yards out. Jayden Daniels, 24 for 35, 268, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack, 0 yards, 80.3 QBR, 110.2 rating. Jayden Daniels ran also for 13 carries for 36 yards, being the leading rusher. That has to change. Austin Eckler went 8 for 27. Brian Robinson went 10 for 16. They ran the ball 33 times for 82 yards for 2.5 yards a carry. Not a lot, but they kept it 33-35, a nice balance that Cliff still showed that he was going to run the ball or try to. Dyami Brown, leading receiver, 5 for 89 and a touchdown on 5 targets. Terry McLaurin on 10 targets, 7 for 89. So both 89 and a touchdown. Austin Eckler, 3 for 26 on 4 targets, really big ones. Zach Ertz, 2 for 23 on 4 targets, some big ones as well. And Olamide Zaccheaus, 3 for 19 on 3 targets. And the last one that he caught was a real big one on 3rd down. Bobby Wagner recovered the fumble, like I said. They got 1 sack, that coming half from Dorrance Armstrong, half from Bobby Wagner. No picks, but their defense stood up to the Buccaneers' offensive line in that running attack of Bucky Irving and made it subside enough. Also, Tampa Bay, with that turnover, really kind of screwed themselves there. That was the turning point of the game, was that right there. Baker Mayfield went 15 for 18, 185, 2 touchdowns, no picks. 1 sack for 2 yards, 62.6 QBR, 146.5 rating. So good rating, but just couldn't Just couldn't do much. They ran the ball for 25 times for 101 yards, 4 yards a carry. Bucky went 17 for 77, 4.5 yards a carry. Mike went 7 for 92 and a touchdown on 7 targets. The touchdown was pretty cool, right over the defender's helmet. Jalen McMillan went 2 for 41 on 4 targets. Kate Otten 2 for 32 on 2 targets. Baker also fumbled. That was the famous fumble. And then their defense only got 1 sack on Jayden, Levante David, and it was for no yards. They got no picks, and it was the most exciting game, and Jayden Daniels just showing that he is the next one. I think he's the next era-defining quarterback of this new chapter. And he's another guy that spent a lot of time in college, 4 years, just like Bo Nix, just like Penix. And these guys are coming in and making an impact. And it's really nice to see that they're making an impact. But Jayden is different, not playing like a rookie at all, beyond his years and poise. And when he's got the ball with 4:41 left, you kind of felt that he was going to go and win it. And that's exactly what he did. He drove him down and got him to win the game. And now they're heading to Detroit, So that's going to be very interesting, and we'll get into that game a little later. All right, Rams-Vikings. Man, was I wrong about this. I thought the Vikings were gonna win this game. I thought it would be a close game because of Stafford and that defense and everything, but the Rams opened a can of whoop ass on the Vikings, 27-9. Sam Darnold with his worst game of the season by far. Back to his Jets days, seeing ghost. Not 27-9. This game was over basically at halftime after a Jared Verse pickup, fumble, scoop and score. This at halftime was 24-3. This game was over. No impact from Justin Jefferson. No impact from Jordan Addison. Sam Darnold went 25 for 40 for 245, a touchdown and a pick. 9 sacks, tied a record in the NFL in the playoffs for 82 yards, almost 100 yards in sacks. 13.6 QBR, a 76.6 rating. Aaron Jones went 13 for 48 on the ground. Cam Akers went 5 for 39. They ran the ball 22 times for 106, 4.8 yards a carry. Maybe they should have done that a little bit more. TJ Hawkinson was their leading receiver, 5 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown on 5 targets. Justin Jefferson just went 5 for 58, no touchdown on 8 targets. Jalen Naylor, 3 for 33 on 5 targets. And Jordan Addison, 3 for 29 on 8 targets. Just not a lot in the passing game. Sam Darnold lost a fumble. Brandon Powell fumbled, but he didn't lose it. Their defense got 2 sacks, one by Blake Cashman on a blitz and Andrew Van Ginkel coming off the edge. No picks. As for the Rams, they looked like a well-oiled machine, especially Stafford. I mean, he started off quick. Puka Nacua, 27-yard in-cut to get the game rolling, and it was on from there. Matthew Stafford went 19 for 27, 209, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks for 7 yards, 72.5 QBR, a 117.7 rating. Kyron Williams was 16 for 76 yards on the ground. They ran the ball 22 times for 90 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. Tyler Higbee was their leading receiver, 5 for 58 on 5 targets. Puka Nacua went 5 for 44 on 9 targets. The touchdown catch was Davis Allen and Kyron Williams. So people that Kyron Williams maybe, but Davis Allen, I mean, who had that on their bingo card? Cooper Kupp went 1 for 29 on 1 target. Jared Verse recovered a fumble, which is the one that he took to the crib. 9 sacks. So 1.5 by Neville Gallimore, 1.5 by Byron Young, half by Michael Hoyt, 2 by Kobe Turner, 1 by Akilo Witherspoon, 1 by Deshaun Johnson, 1 by Kobe Durant on a blitz, half by Braden Fisk. And even though Jared Verse caused a lot of havoc, no sacks for Jared Verse. Kobe Durant caught a pick, really nice one. And that was it, man. 27-9. It was really like these last two games by Sam Darnold basically means that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the starting quarterback next year for the Vikings. I think Sam Darnold is going to go to another team. They're probably going to pay him the Baker contract somewhere around the $30 to $35 million range for 3 years. Where could he go? Browns, but they could possibly get Shador. You look at a team maybe like the Saints, if they don't want Derek Carr anymore. You possibly look at Indianapolis if they don't like what they're seeing from Richardson. There's some teams that are out there for sure. Raiders, for if you want to get them for Brock Bowers. But they might be possibly getting a quarterback, maybe, in the draft. But this was embarrassing. I feel bad for Justin Jefferson. KOC, that defense, B-Float, is probably leaving. Probably going to become a coach. If not, he'll stay. But 27-9 to a Rams team that is a young defense, which is really good. Will pose some problems to the Eagles, some. And then, Matthew Stafford just dotting. Puka Nacua. Not using Cooper Kupp much. Just Puka Nacua. Tyler Higbee. Puka Nacua. Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee got hurt again. We don't know his status yet. Let me see here. Expect to play on Sunday. Okay, so he'll have them. They're healthy. I expect Puka Nacua to be a much bigger part. Although against the Eagles, that's a tough one because you still have Quinyon Mitchell, you have Cooper DeJean, you have Darius Slay. I mean, you got everything galore over there. So, yeah, so the Rams won that, and the Vikings are just going to go J.J. McCarthy. You were looking good in the preseason, and the J.J. McCarthy era starts for KOC next year for the Vikings. They need a legit pass rusher. Dallas Turner needs to develop into that. All right. Predictions for divisional round. We got Chiefs-Texans. It is a 8.5-point spread. We haven't seen the Chiefs in 23 days, the actual Chiefs. Listen, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Obviously, I'm thinking that they're going to win the three-peat. It's going to be hella cold. We're expecting it's going to be in the teens, possibly 10 degrees at kickoff. That's how it's feeling like. 11 to 13 mile per hour winds, which could affect the kicking game and the passing game. Not much Mahomes, even though CJ Stroud has hell of an arm. But I think the Chiefs just, I don't know about the spread though. 8.5 is kind of a lot. The Texans do have a good defense, good pass rushers to get after the tackles for the Chiefs, even though Joe Thuney will play left tackle, even though DJ Humphries is healthy. So we'll see what happens at that left guard spot now that Joe Thuney is not there when they decide to run the ball, because that's the best interior offensive line in the league. Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. Jawan Taylor is going to have to hold up against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. They have no other choice. Thuney might be able to block one of those, but Jawan Taylor better not get no penalties and no holding. Cannot hold. No illegal formation by leaving early. No false starts. Just clean game. And I believe they win. I think Kelsey becomes a big part. Derek Stingley has to choose who he wants to roam with. People are saying D-Hop. I think that would be a giant mistake. Velez, but why? Because it's Hollywood Brown who you have to worry about. I think that's going to be the big piece tomorrow that's going to really show out, especially if Derek Stingley's not on him. If Derek Stingley's on him and the Texans are smart, then expect Xavier Worthy to be over Kamari Lassiter or D-Hop, and then you're going to have to figure out if a nickel against Worthy is a viable option, especially with Kelsey underneath It's going to be interesting. Let's see how they run the ball with Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, how they decide to do that. Their defense, Chris Jones, I'm not worried about that. Trent McDuffie, I'm not worried about any of the Chiefs' defense to per se. Maybe the corners. Lions, Commanders. Lions are a 9.5-point favorite. Commanders are suspect on defense against that offensive line. The best thing they got is Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. They have to attack that secondary, but be careful of Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, probably the best safety tandem in the league. And then the Commanders have to stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. If they do not, the play action will be open, and Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, and Tim Patrick are going to have a field day. I'm going with the Lions, although I believe Jayden can keep it close, but I think that the Lions have too much. Although they don't have a pass rush, Aaron Glenn has shown that he is able to do with what he has, especially with Alex Anzalone back. I think the Lions are just a better team. Remember, this is the worst the Commanders are going to be for the next 10 years. The rookie contract of Jayden Daniels, probably going to draft another receiver, get more help on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to pass rush, have big, over $100 million in cap space this summer to bring in maybe a T. Higgins if they want to bring in a Tyreek Hill if they want to, if he wants to leave the Dolphins truly. But I think the Lions has this time. Rams-Eagles, probably the most interesting game of the slate because Ravens-Bills are just the best game, period. Rams-Eagles is going to be interesting. Can Jalen Hurts get the pass game going, or is it just going to be the Saquon Barkley show against this young D-line with Braden Fisk, Jacoby Turner, Jared Verse, and Byron Young? I believe in Saquon, to be honest, and I also believe that A.J. Brown can get open against Ahkello Witherspoon or Corby Durant, so can Devontae Smith. And the Eagles' defense are the best defense in the playoffs left right now with Nolan Smith Jr., Bryce Huff. You got, you got Jordan Davis, and, of course, you got Jalen Carter. Nakobe Dean is out, I believe. That's their leader, the green dot. So I think it's going to be Zach Bond. That might affect things there. Communication-wise, Quinyon Mitchell's probably going to go on Puka, and I expect Cooper DeJean probably to go on Cooper Kupp, Cooper versus Cooper. And then from there, play ball. But I got the Eagles. If not, it's probably going to be Darius Slay on Cooper Kupp, and then Cooper DeJean can really roam and be that star position player if he really wants to. And let CJ roam the back end. So I got the Eagles there. It's a 6.5-point spread. Do I like the spread? Not really. The Rams have a really good offense, but against that Eagles defense, it's going to be interesting. But I got the Eagles. And then we get to the big one. Sunday at 6:30 on CBS. Ravens in Buffalo for a chance to go against what I presume is going to be the Chiefs to the AFC Championship for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. MVP candidate versus MVP candidate. It has been said by MVP voters that this decides the MVP. Now, that's kind of what they came up with, that this game decides the MVP, whoever wins. I have personally the Ravens is a 1.5-point spread for the Ravens. And the reason why is because I don't think that Bills defense is ready for Derrick Henry for 4 quarters, and still taking in consideration that you have to defend Lamar. As for the Ravens, they're playing really well on defense. The back end has been playing well. Cal Hamilton is kind of the glue that makes that thing tick. You still have Roquan Smith. Matabike, Adafe Owe, you have Jones, Travis Jones. So I think that, and Michael Pierce. So I think that the Ravens have enough. It's going to be a close game, maybe a shootout. But I got the Ravens going against the Chiefs in a rematch of the AFC Championship of last year, except Ravens now are heading with Derrick Henry. As for the Bills, from here, you need a number one receiver or develop Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir, or maybe just draft another receiver, bring in a T. Higgins if you have the money. I think the Ravens' run game is better than the Bills' run game, although the Bills have the leading touchdown scorer in James Cook. But I think the Ravens are really good at run defense and can keep the lid on those receivers, whether it's Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins. I think that they can keep with Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton and Aldarius Washington. I think that they can keep the lid on that offense and not let the Bills to get out to run. Just got to defend the lanes against Josh Allen and tackle. So I'm going to go Ravens there. So let me write those down. We're going here. Chiefs, episode 169. We're going Chiefs. We're going Lions. Eagles. Ravens. That's what we're going with. All right. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into Mike Vrabel got named the Patriots head coach. That was obvious. They're going to bring somebody back that was in the culture, that had been a head coach before, somebody with experience that can build a culture with Drake May. Don't know the offensive coordinator yet. Might be Josh McDaniels. Might be another person that he brings on. But Mike Vrabel is the right guy for the job. Now, will they be successful right away? It depends on how they draft, because boy, do they need a receiver, and they need a running back as well. A little bit of O-line as well. But you got Drake May, so maybe you bring in a T. Higgins. You got the most money in this offseason, so we'll see what happens there. Mike McCarthy fired as the Cowboys head coach. It has finally come down. Jerry and him decided to go their separate ways. He now is the leading candidate for the Chicago job with Ben Johnson. We'll see what happens there. I think McCarthy would be a good coach for Caleb Williams. I think Ben Johnson would be probably the better offensive option for Caleb Williams, so we'll see what happens there. They need to draft offensive linemen, and both of those coaches know how important offensive linemen are. Of course, having Hall of Famers with Mike McCarthy that he had in the Packers, and also at the Cowboys with Tyron Smith and Doug Free and Frederick, and then Ben Johnson being with Penei Sewell and Ragnow. So I think that it's going to be a great fit, whichever, but I think I'm leaning Ben Johnson offensively. But if I'm talking about coaching and success, Mike McCarthy of course, he's a Super Bowl champion with Aaron. All right. So Notre Dame beats Penn State, and Riley Leonard shows that he can throw the ball. Drew Adler throws a devastating pick with a minute and 30 seconds left in the game. After Penn State has stopped a drive by Notre Dame to try to ice the game. And then Riley Leonard passes it to Greathouse to seal it with clutch first downs, and then a critical offsides to make an easy 41-yard field goal for Mitch Jeter. And even with Nick Singleton having a dominating game with 3 touchdowns, it wasn't enough. Notre Dame goes on to the college football playoff national championship for the first time since they've had Manti Te'o on that team. If you guys remember, against that, I believe it was an Alabama team. If not, it was an Ohio State team, and they got rocked, just murdered. I thought Penn State would win this game just because they were dominant on the run game, but that Notre Dame defense really stepped up. Xavier Watts, You have Bryce Young. That Notre Dame defense is legit. They got Sunday players over there. And then Riley Leonard has gotten better at passing the football. Way better throughout his year in Notre Dame and coming from Duke last year before the injury. So Notre Dame is going. And then Ohio State outlasts Texas. Texas basically loses on a Jack Sawyer sack fumble. The kid from Ohio picks it up, runs it back. But the game really turned on a Travion Henderson 75-yard screenplay before halftime, like right before halftime. And Texas just couldn't muster enough offense. A lot of penalties as well. And they just couldn't hold up to the Ohio State defense. Now, Jeremiah Smith was stopped in this game. He was stopped. So if we go to the national championship, the national championship is Ohio State, Notre Dame, I believe in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yep. Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going Ohio State. What's the spread? Spread is 8.5. I just think that with the weapons that Ohio State has, Will Howard playing the best that he's played all season after the Michigan loss, and Ryan Day really having this team clicking, this defense with JTT and Jack Sawyer really, and Caleb Downs really playing their ass off with Simon back there. I'm going Ohio State. Notre Dame can have a chance, but their defense is going to have to do a number on that Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith, and Cardell Tate. That's going to be tough. I got Ohio State. All right, quick NBA news. Jimmy Butler decided to go face-to-face to Pat Riley and say that he wanted to be traded. He's playing currently right now after a 7-game suspension. The standings as they are Cleveland 6 games up on Boston. Then you got Boston, New York, 2 games behind Boston with 8 games back. Milwaukee is in the 4th spot. Like I said, they would get there at 11.5 games back. Orlando with Paolo Banchero back in the lineup, 12 games back. So is Indiana at 12 games back in the 6th spot. Atlanta, 13 games back in the 7th spot. Miami's 13.5 games back in the 8th spot. Detroit, who have been playing well, even though they're 7-3 in their last 10. So JB Bickerstaff is really having that team play together. I believe it's JB. Let me be right about that. I believe it's JB Bickerstaff. Hold up. Let's see here. Yeah, JB Bickerstaff. I knew it. No need to panic. And then Chicago's at 16.5 games back in the 10th spot. 76ers are 18.5 games back in the 11th spot. Brooklyn 20.5. Toronto 24.5. Charlotte 23.5. Washington 27.5. That shit's over. OKC 7 games up on Houston. Houston is a game and a half up on Memphis. Denver's 10 games back. Clippers are 5th, surprising, 11 games back, but now they have Kawhi back. Lakers are 6th, 12 games back. Dallas is 7th, 12.5 games back. Minnesota's 13 games back and 8. Sacramento is at 13.5 games back. They worked their way back. Phoenix worked their way back in the 10th spot, 14. And Golden State's 14 back in the 11th spot. San Antonio's 14.5 games back. They dropped. And then Portland, Utah, and New Orleans are donezo, even though Zion came back and then didn't play and then played again. So we'll see what happens. Other than that, thank you guys. Episode 168 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I love you guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the comments, follow me on all my socials. I love you. God bless. And I leave you all with the outro.